Hello and welcome to Engage Builder. We wanted to shoot a quick start video for those who just like to jump in. I do encourage you to please visit the training section of the site. There's a lot more in depth on each of the main features of the site. So this one here is just to kind of get you started if you just want to jump right in. So one thing I just wanted to cover here was integrations. If you're going to be hooking up any of your forms to your autoresponders, this is where that takes place, and we simply add a connection, select from our selection of autoresponders, and go ahead and fill out the required information. Okay. So again, you can dive into the training videos to get a more in-depth view of the integrations. So the next big piece I wanted to show you was creating an actual engagement. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and select our video type. Okay, so we have three types that you can choose from. You can have your own hosted MP4, whether it's on S3 or just self-hosted somewhere else, YouTube and Vimeo. Okay, so we'll go ahead and pick YouTube, and we're going to name this, and I'll just name this demo. And we're going to go ahead and grab a source URL, which I'm going to go out and grab one right now. Okay, and I just grabbed a quick fitness video here from YouTube. Now, if you're a premium member, you can search for videos right in app here through on YouTube and Vimeo, and then also save those videos for later use in our saved videos area. Again, please review the training section for a more in-depth view there. All right, so we have our source video. So the one thing I want to make clear is that this is where the source is pulling from. This does not auto-create any sort of engagement. How we do that is we go ahead and save our video detail, which is going to bring us to our engagement builder. Okay, so what we're going to do, there's a few templates that you can choose from here if you'd like to just have a kind of a default layout created for you. However, once you start using the system, I find it's just as easy to go ahead and start from scratch and kind of customize it the way I like it. So for right now, the one important matter is that any element that we drag onto our builder, we want to make sure we have a container. That's where our grid system comes in. You'll see we have different types of grid layouts. There's the 100% layout, 50-50, and so on. You can kind of see how those are laid out here. So for this example, I'm just going to go ahead and pull a 50-50, which basically gives me two columns to go ahead and put some engagements in. Now, the one key point that absolutely needs to happen is this little HTML element here is called eBuilder. This is where it pulls in the source of the video that you entered on the first step. So you'll see this is the fitness video that I have. All of your animations and video overlays and all the page elements are all timed from this particular video. So let's make sure that we drag that and drop that in here before we start pulling in any HTML elements that we may want to animate. So I'm going to do a quick review because there's really two types of engagements we can do. One, video overlay, which is overlaying CTAs and forms over the top of the video. And the other is on-page engagements. So I'm going to go ahead and just start here with on top of the video. You can hop into the settings, and you're going to basically see some basic settings. Again, I'm going to this is more of the quick start. So if you want a more in-depth view of these settings, please visit the training area. But at this point here, we can decide whether we want to have a form overlay, which has the integrations, which I showed you earlier, and buttons for that form submission, and also our call to actions. And we have text, image, and button that you're allowed to put in there and set a specific time for. Okay, so again, please review that training section. I can't stress that enough if you're having trouble. So basically, we would go ahead and set those settings and hit apply, and then those animations will show as as you have them set. Now, the very important thing that we need to know is that in order for anything to work when we get our embed code is we have to hit our save button. So we'll always have to save when we make changes here before we grab the embed code, or else those changes will not show up. Okay, so it's very important to save before we move on to the next step to grab the embed code. So also the HTML elements, as I've said, I'm just going to go ahead and drag a generic paragraph here into this column. And you'll see that each of these HTML elements, as you begin to pull them onto the screen, has their own individual settings. So there's different things that you can do depending on which element it is. Of course, we have styling around there, padding, margin, transparent background, or background color. So those are all settings you can play around with to make sure you customize it the way that you like it. So what we can do at that point, once we have this on here, is we can go ahead and animate this and have this come on. Now, if I just drag this element onto the screen and leave it, it will show up the minute the video starts playing and will stay for the duration of the video. However, if I wanted it to just show up at a certain time, here's where the power of the Engage Builder comes in. There's two ways that we can do it. You can either just manually enter a time in your start and end. So the start is when it would come on screen, end is when it goes off screen. So if you know pretty much where you want it to come in, at 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you can just go ahead and manually enter that. If you really want to get it precise, what you can do is just play the video right inside the app here. And I'm just going to go ahead and mute that. And what it'll do is say I wanted it right there. You'll see these two little buttons. These are on all of the HTML elements. You'll see these buttons here. This is the start and the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit start. And it's going to basically pause the video right where I clicked it, and it's going to go ahead and enter those in seconds where I wanted this to start from, okay? Now, if I want it to end at a certain time, I can, again, just enter that time in here manually, or I just go ahead and push play.
Jab cross,
and stop. And it will go ahead and enter in exactly where I want it to be left off, okay? Or again, you can enter, manually. All right, so that's when it will actually appear. Your animation will come in and exit at those times. Now, you can also set, animations here. So you can set different in animations, and you'll see it'll demonstrate it for you. There are more advanced settings in that little button right there. And you can also have the effect go out. So if I wanted to fade, and you can also set some of those settings in here as well. And if I wanted to put something underneath here, another element underneath this one, what we're going to want to make sure is that this element is in its own column, as well as the next element. So in this case, seeing that we've already started, let's just say we've started and we've changed our mind, we'd actually like to have a couple of elements here. Maybe when this one fades out, we want to have this next one appear a few seconds later and kind of take its place. So it basically kind of stacks and swaps out this particular text for whatever text we're going to put underneath it. So what we would do in that case is we want to make sure, again, that we always put these in columns, okay? So we're going to want to drop a column and push this into it, okay? So now it's in its own column. Next thing we'll do is grab the next one, and we'll stack that right underneath it, and go ahead and plug in another paragraph or whichever HTML element you'd like to use, and you can go ahead and animate that one as well. So in this case, we might want to have this, seeing this is going out at 1700 seconds, we might want to bring this in at 1702. So again, you can write that in there manually, or go ahead and use the play button and use the start and stop times here. So that, again, make sure that you save this engagement before we move on to the next step, which is going to be the embed code. Okay, so we can go ahead and grab that embed code right here, and you just simply copy it and paste it into whatever web page you'd like. So for a more in-depth view, again, please check out the training area. There's a lot of in-depth training videos there that can answer a lot of your questions. Thank you.